Hi everyone, welcome back to the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. I'm Go Local News editor Kate Nagel. Thanks for tuning in for election night coverage this Tuesday evening with some familiar faces. Would like to welcome back Democratic consultant Rob Horowitz, frequent Go Local contributor, and former state representative, former deputy secretary of state, now heads up Stages of Freedom, Rickman, who comes in every week to give his big view. Gentlemen, thanks for joining this evening.
Thank you.
It's a rainy day outside. It's been raining on and off and then got heavier as the day went on. But Rob, we were talking earlier, the numbers, the turnout for midterms is looking high.
Yes, relative. If you, it depends on how you want to look at it. Relative to what's going on nationally, I think Rhode Island's probably going to be on the low side. But relative to 2014, it's looking like, which was about 320,000.
Right.
It's looking closer to 380,000. So it's good to see. No matter what the results are tonight, it's good to see more people participating in voting.
And Ray, talk with us a little bit. I want to kick off here in the city before we go to statewide issues. You were supportive of Democratic candidate Bob DeRobio before putting your support behind independent candidate Diane Dede Whitman. You've got the bookstore right on the corner down the street from us. You're always talking with folks in the community. What have you heard today specifically about the mayoral race here in Providence?
Today, I talked to about 17 or 18 people on the phone, all people with modest incomes. I think everyone was Latino, and I asked them, and it was surprising. They barely had heard of Dede, to be candid, Dede Whitman, but not a one of them likes the mayor. And they were kind of like, we're supposed to vote for the man we don't like. And I wish the campaign had been able to drill down more, because he could have been blown out of the water. I am hopeful she's going to win. If she does, it won't be by much. But we're unhappy with this mayor.
And so we'll talk about a little bit more about her campaign, especially with Rob, a campaign strategist. A lot of folks have questioned the timing of her coming into the race, clearly after a Democratic primary. Now, Diane Dede Whitman did mention, again, the passing of her husband playing into the timing and then her decision to run for the race. Rob, was it a sort of a function of, a big push at the end? I don't want to say, but had she gotten started sooner, do you think this would have been a different race?
I'm not sure. I think she's run a really, and full disclosure, I was a consultant to Mayor Alorza in his last race when he defeated Buddy Cianci. I'm not working on the race this time.
Okay.
I think she's run a pretty impressive public communications race with aggressive television ads and with reinforced by direct mail, and done a pretty good job. I think she should have been more specific on, and particularly on the pension stuff. I think that really hurt her when she had a quote unquote, I know she fixed it, but she had a quote unquote secret plan to fix the pension. I think that hurt her in the debates. On the other hand, I'm mystified, candidly, as a supporter of the mayor about what he's doing here. No television. Let her go unanswered for 4 or 5 weeks. If it's about a future race, he's letting everyone in Rhode Island's impression of him be formed by Dede Whitman, not by himself. No real mail. I'm relatively confident he's going to win tonight, just because it's a strong Democratic year. If he wins tonight, it's going to candidly have very little to do with the campaign he's run. And if he loses tonight, it's a prima facie case of political malpractice.
And so do you think that as well? I know that some folks have been talking again about what the mayor has or hasn't been doing in the media or spending on as well. Clear he has gubernatorial aspirations.
That's the gossip. He has $700,000 he's setting on. He needs a $2 million kitty to run for governor. He's got a third of it. I think it's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Dede Whitman got aggressive, got out there, started spending money, and you would have thought he'd spend half his. I'm glad he didn't, but malfeasance is a very interesting word to apply.
Just to correct you, I said malpractice.
I'm sorry.
There was some lawyer contacting me tomorrow.
Same prefix,
Medical malpractice.
I apologize.
Go ahead, sir.
Malpractice, malfeasance. But again, he has spent money. He did go negative on Dede Whitman with that mailer, very much tying her to the late Mayor Buddy Cianci. What was
Yeah.
your thought on that mailer, Rob?
Here was my thought. I thought the mailer was fine, but as we all know, advertising works on sufficient repetition.
Correct.
And it means for mailers to work and messages to work, you need to repeat them a lot, particularly with a fragmented media market and fragmented.
Totally
television.
fragmented.
Takes even more. And he's doing less. So one piece of mail does not communicate the message he's trying to
And can I tell you what I told I went out maybe 4 times for Dee Dee, door to door. And everyone who had heard that or felt that she was connected to Buddy, I said, right, just like when 82% of the East Side voted for Buddy Cianci, 2 races ago. So that's the trouble when someone's the mayor forever, that all kinds of people have associations with him. All kinds.
But in fairness,
Yes.
she didn't do a very good job in the debates of explaining her relationship to Cianci or providing any distance. And she still said he was like a great mayor. And we watched him be mayor, and you and I both know the pension crisis we have today was mainly caused by him.
Yeah.
He went to jail for corruption. So I think that's the problem she had. Find that she supported him, and she did it professionally. She was a fundraiser. She also supported Jay Polino.
I'm sorry, she did it professionally.
That is, and I
All
will-
kinds of professionals.
But she
Did
never
you see
made
me
that
pointing
point.
a finger?
She made the
All-
point.
She didn't really make the point well in the debate.
She made the point after the fact when she was here in studio again, pointing out the fact too that Jorge Alorza had approached her for her services as well, but as you
Yeah.
mentioned, had been approached on the question a number of times and then told us. it's
can
not
I-
done
can-
in studio.
can I-
And that was incredibly petty, and no one cared. It wasn't that in the debate.
No,
She tried to do
but
it.
can I offer this in her defense?
Sure.
There are politicians, Buddy Cianci, and then there are politicians, this mayor, and then there are people who are new to the game. Bob DeRobio. I mean, as new as you can get to a game. And Dee Dee was better, but not, she hasn't run. Also, what people don't understand, I tell people, I'm a policy guy. I can talk about 10 Providence issues in detail, and I've been a department head twice, and I know things. Dee Dee has not been there. I like her because she's going to run City Hall more effectively. But that leadership thing is true, and she was hoping we'd buy it.
The problem is she hasn't provided a lot of evidence that she's going to run it more effectively. You may be right that she could, and
Wait, can anybody be more effective than this current mayor?
I think you're being somewhat unfair.
No,
If
I'm
you look
not.
at the
Go
economic
ahead.
development in the city, if you
I
look at
think
how
that's
it's
called a
handled-
governor.
Mainly, but somewhat the mayor and some of the tax stability stuff that's come out of the council's a piece of it. If you look at some of the other things that he's done, and if you look at, and he's been generally fiscally responsible, I don't think he's been a bad mayor. And by the way, I think if you look at polling, people don't think he's a bad mayor. I agree he doesn't have a big, strong, enthusiastic base, but one of the reasons I think he's going to win tonight, and the main reasons the Democratic tide, despite the campaign he's run, which I agree is not the campaign he should have run, is because people generally think Providence is headed in the right direction, and people generally think he's doing an okay job.
But let's talk a little bit about that pension obligation issue that rears its head every election cycle, but it seems like November 7th, it's back to business as usual and not
Oh, yeah.
tackling the tough issue at hand.
They're waiting for the next mayor to do it, including this one. You're being awfully gracious. You're one of my favorite political people, but I have to tell you, I'm a child advocate, and Providence school children, Latinos, 350 out of 350 school districts. When he came, it was only 340. Okay? That alone disqualifies him. And he hasn't, I'm sympathetic to anyone who tries. I have seen no effort. No effort. The feds had to come. The Trump feds had to come after him. That's unbelievable, accusing him of basically discrimination against Latino children. And I say very harsh things about him because I'm interested in the public schools improving. But then finally, I believe mayor, governor, in this case mother, and in his case father, should be the father of the family. He dislikes school teachers. He dislikes firefighters. He dislikes police officers. Now I hear he dislikes public works folks. That isn't who the mayor should be.
I don't know that he dislikes any of those folks. I think that's being somewhat unfair.
Well, he
And to
says
get
it in
back
public.
I don't think that's exactly what he said. If you get get back to the pension problem. First of all, Mayor Tavares, full disclosure, somebody else I work for, did make some very meaningful and significant steps to solve the problem. Not solve it completely, but cost of living.
He tried. He started. Yes.
Things that were tough to do and that he pulled off. It's hard to do, especially because that was done. Then the city workers feel like they've done their fair share. They're going to have to do more, unfortunately. But my concern is this. And on the contracts, one of the reasons all the union folks and the city workers don't like him is he's not giving them raises. That's fiscally responsible. The money's not there for the teachers. Everyone agrees that teachers should get a raise, but you're talking about this big unfunded pension liability.
But he talks about a surplus, and so that's, I think, the issue with some of the labor organizations.
What surplus?
It's a
The minor.
balanced surplus, but he also talks about the big pension. He has done a good job in terms of the day-to-day fiscal management.
But what about the pension obligation?
It's very hard, and actually his solution,
Selling the water supply.
selling the water supply, which was also the other.
Wait, I'm holding on to the chair. Go ahead.
If you could ever do it, and you'd need the legislature, it is a city asset. You might be able to take a big chunk of it.
So,
no one's come up with a lot of better ideas.
If I ever hold public office again, I'm going to hire you full time to be my advocate. So when the things I do great, you can scream from the rooftop, and the things I do poorly. Listen, all problems have solutions, and he hasn't tried to find one. And the pension thing requires probably a great mayor working full-time, and their answers, we don't even know what price he's trying to get for the water system. That's how silly this conversation is. It ranges from 300 million to 700 million. Wait, and neither one is more than a third. The top dollar is only a third of the problem. But let me come to this. There are answers to this. He hasn't gone to the state. Asking. We're a child of the state. He hasn't asked the state to chip in, help out. I can tell you 10 things he has not done.
And that may all be fair. And by the way, Ray and I know each other a while. He's incredibly well motivated, incredibly dedicated to Providence, and incredibly dedicated to children. I would just say this. If you want to be the mayor, though, to replace, it's all well and good to say, well, she's not much of a it's her first race, and I love her personally.
Yes.
She's been around this for a while. If she wanted to be the mayor, and if she does, and she, who knows, she might have been who knows, she still might be the mayor.
She might be.
If she wanted to be the mayor, she had to have better answers. And she has very few, and if she has them and she just can't express them, that's not all that encouraging either. So the problem is...
Can I try one more thing on you, and then then we're going to wait and see what the voters...
Then we're
going to see what the voters have to say. So the new mayor of Detroit, Detroit's had lousy mayors for 30 years. It had one or two gentlemen who were lousy mayors.
But one great guard in Dave Bing. But go ahead.
Yeah. So Bing. It had mayors who didn't do change, that didn't improve, and the city just kept doing this. Then the new mayor comes. First thing he does out of the box is he takes the lights. There are no lights. 80% of people don't have a street light. And he goes and gets this bonded with a private company and all of this stuff, gives it to them for 21 years to make money. Now, there's no loss because the city was making zero, and now somebody's making, I think, $17 million a year. And guess what? Everybody in Detroit has lights on their street. It's the most incredible thing. Leadership. You want to hear something? I've respected you since the day I've met you. And you and I could sit down and fix this pension problem. I can name you 50 people, and Dee Dee's going to get that done.
There's no evidence. Here's the only thing I say. I hope if she wins, she'll get it done, and anything I could do with my perfect limited ability to do anything about this, I'll help. But and you're closer to this than me. I haven't seen a lot of demonstration. I've seen a good campaign, and she's worked hard. And I think, she's on TV and she's putting her money where her mouth is, and she deserves a lot of credit.
So I have nothing else to say. I'm in a little prayer state for Dee Dee, I'm not actually praying for Dee Dee. I'm praying for the children of Providence.
Right, but I haven't seen a lot of evidence in anything she said, and nor has she been willing to take any tough positions. It's very easy to tell all the unions, pretty much what they want to hear, which is done.
Let's talk a little bit about the education question as we segue perhaps into the statewide races here as we've really delved deep here into Providence. But both Providence and statewide, but Providence specifically, we have gubernatorial candidates here in the studio, and Go Local CEO Josh Fenton actually, I believe, was talking with Central Falls Mayor James Diosa about the performance of Central Falls schools as well. One of the big campaign issues this year was school infrastructure and school safety. And one of the things that Go Local had reported on was the lack of advancement in test scores, especially in the urban core, and the lack of attention being paid to it within the election cycle. Now, both of you, former elected official, campaign consultant, talking with candidates about this issue that's persisted for decades now throughout Rhode Island. And we still find ourselves here in 2018, as you mentioned, those numbers for the Latino children, as we see test results here in Providence, proficiency levels in the single digits. What are the conversations you have with candidates and the ideas? Because again, we're at such we're at such a crossroads here as to, these kids need an education to prepare them, and what we do is we just keep seeing stagnant numbers. I mean, what do you talk about candidates with us?
For candidates, it's kind of, I don't think the answer is with candidates as much as I do candidates. It's good that they put aggressive plans together. The answer is sort of when candidates get elected, and it's a governance answer, and I'm really hoping, because I think Governor Raimondo's done a very good job as governor, I'm hoping she really makes this the defining issue of her second term, because it's a long-standing problem. But if you look at Massachusetts and other places, many other places do better than we do. The fact that we do as poorly, even statewide, even in suburban districts, but particularly for our lower income kids, as badly as we do, we're not giving them a head start, and we're never also going to truly solve our economic development issues. That's mainly about workforce, and so it's an issue of equality of opportunity, and it's also an issue of economic development.
Do you think it was?
I don't think it's it's never going to be. It requires a governor, and a mayor, but a governor particularly, because a lot of it's state funding and stuff, and state to take a big, huge leadership role.
We, as I've mentioned, and you know this for, again, decades of politicians saying we can't solve this problem overnight, but here we are now 40 years later with the same results. You talk about this governor, of course she's focused on higher ed, a big focus on early childhood education. Do you think that's a piece of the puzzle that the governor, this particular administration, with the focus on, again, we won't see those results overnight, but is that something that is going to help?
So I did not vote for the governor today. First time in my life I've not voted for governor. I've never missed an election since I was a kid. And I stood there for a minute and I said, should I vote for her? Because I certainly would not be voting for Fung. And I can't vote for her. She has not paid proper attention to the children of this state. And her free college thing was almost a charade because of the amount of educational dollars put into it. And she doesn't own up to that the financing comes from the General Assembly. You have to work with them, and she hasn't been able to do that. So I'm back to, I care about 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds, and the answer is there. So we have language problems in Providence. Put some work to it. We have, I've met teachers who dislike parents because the mother speaks Spanish and doesn't speak English. Why don't we have a language immersion program for these teachers? Because even if I speak about 7 languages poorly and only 50 words in each language, but when Greek comes out of my mouth, I have all this respect for it. Seriously, I speak French a little better than the other ones. Every teacher in Providence needs to sit down for 3, 4, 5 weeks or 5 years and learn some Spanish.
What's your thoughts on that?
I speak one language poorly, English. A little bit of Spanish. So Ray's well ahead of me there. Here's what I think. I think she has laid some of the building blocks in place. I think that if you look at all the research, the emphasis on all-day K, the emphasis on preschool is critical. And you won't see the results for many years that she's done that. I don't agree on the college program. I think it's a good idea. It isn't that much money, candidly, relative to the
need.
state budget. and it's important, and more people are going to community college. It's going to take a while before people hang out and stay there. I agree.
Yeah.
But that's the first step. So I think that's all good, and this is a decades-long problem, and a piece of it candidly is the quality of our teachers, which are below the quality of the teachers in Massachusetts.
Now, because I'm going to leave
I love teachers.
because I'm going to leave the set in a couple of minutes, because she told me I wouldn't be here long, and I have like 8 people waiting for me. But could I tell you this, and I really mean this. This is from the heart.
Yeah.
The graduation rate at the community college is 12% in less than 5 years. Maybe we should close the community college and let people go to Rick, where the graduation rate's 3 times as high. Now, wait, hold on. I'm not emphatic about that, but I am emphatic. No. It's higher than 12%.
Well, of course it is.
I want to use the word malfeasant again. You should not be running a system that costs millions of dollars with a 12% graduation rate. Now, community colleges don't do well nationally, so I don't want to be disingenuous or unfair.
Exactly.
They do 19 to 29%, double and triple what we do.
Exactly.
We need to examine this. We need to stop. There needs to be a commission on the education of young people going to community college. We probably need, I don't want to upset the new president, but we probably need a commission on Rick as well.
But you realize one of the reasons we don't graduate, and it's always going to be low, from community college is because the quality of our public schools that produce the people that go to community college are so poor.
Yes.
That comes up.
I'm not making excuses for community college, too.
But that's been a constant theme that we've heard from folks throughout this administration, other previous ones. The numbers at CCRI are a direct result of what's coming out of K through 12.
No. Wait, again, I'm sorry I have to go, but can I tell you this?
Go ahead.
I don't buy it. I've worked with high school kids for 20 years. I know 100 of them personally, okay? They go to community college, they have pregnancy problems.
Mm-hmm.
They have run out of money problems.
Right.
They have this literacy, and what skills they're bringing is 20% of the problem. Wait, hold on.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And we barely address the 10 problems. We don't even address the 1. The governor said she was going to by creating free college. That would have been a great thing.
You mean the financial issue?
Yes. If everybody could go free, we'd have 20% of the problem fixed. But these are incomes. She needs to work with the speaker.
The speaker needs to work with her as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, we will. I believe Rob and Ray will continue to disagree on a number of education issues.
One last quick thing on the education. It's election night. Why not talk about education? But which is I agree that if there's one, and if you look at schools that have upped graduation rates, mentorship and expectations is critical. We don't do anywhere near enough.
None.
I'm hopeful to see that happen in the governor's second term, or by some miracle function.
So you know something we don't know, because she's now going to focus on education in a serious way.
I'm hopeful she's going to.
And stop taking a great interest in Johnson & Johnson that gave us 50 jobs, because I'm interested in 50,000 people who need her attention.
She did jumpstart the state's economy, and she did a lot of good things economic development. I think she's serious about education. I have no inside knowledge. I think it will be I think it will be more of a focus.
So will you call her up? Will you call her up next week and give her a couple days? And she's going to win. Call her up and ask her if she'll put together a commission on the graduation community college and see if we can double
I'd be
it.
pleased to call her up. I don't think my call is going to make that commission occur, but I'll be happy to make the call.
Well, I will say one thing. We did catch up with the governor today at Nathan Bishop, where she was voting. You can see the video on Go Local Prov. She did mention, if reelected, one of her focuses in the second term would be being in the community more. So we will be here at Go Local in the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center throughout the evening. It is now 8 o'clock. Polls are closed. Numbers will start coming in fairly shortly. I know Ray Rickman's got places to go, probably Rob Horowitz as well. So again, would like to thank the former state representative, former Deputy Secretary of State, now head of Stages of Freedom, and Democratic consultant Rob Horowitz to join us here in the studio. We're going to sign off now, but we'll be back very shortly with our next guests here. We look